get it.
Mbijan aganya.
Albaka.
Mbaka important.
Yo, nga transfer la sto.
Ya transfer la.
Ha, code nyingi.
Okay. Korsa. Nsila ID soto.
Sa soto. Sorry. I get it.
Mbijan bro.
Albaka.
Mbaka.
Bara alla service o tariaka. Mbale ki janna nun kunu bara tariaka.
Jannom yona forest de bureau. Gambia tonkon na no mbali ya bere. Birim koyna fo kato.
Bari si kodo kino kato ni fo bolong blabe to.
56 branches mola soto Gambia jam.
Ha?
Gambia kono ani Gambia bantala bankol. Nka kodo kiya bere to. Kodo sifa fo falindiro fo nyaadi lafta memmen na kodi to poto nin kodi maraw. Jannam number 1 di nyonta. Andum fana nata anoda enterprise sotale. Wolam nyindi ko domorol fana kol fana be firale de dadi ma ni domorol ni fana beteat. Gambia dawda yalo ngam fa kendol sotale je.
Wo moyo diat.
Apelenta
ni waka ni lafta nyelen kendol e bina.
Yalo bukani la ko la baraka ba.
Yalo ndel chosano lo.
Abaraka.
Him that the last time he sent the money, it was not enough to buy all the provisions.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell him.
Are you guys talking about money transfer to buy provisions?
Yes.
But
Don't you know about Baluwo?
Baluwo? What is Baluwo?
Baluwo is a service that your son can use to send provisions directly to you guys from the shop. And you don't have to worry about the exchange rate.
Tell me how Baluwo works.
It's very simple.
Just log on to baluwo.com and shop, or download the app on your phone. You can shop on the website or using the app to buy online basic products for your family and friends. With Baluwo, you decide what your money is spent on. Your money, your choice. Buy online products for your family and friends in the Gambia, Senegal, Nigeria or Mali. Baluwo, better than sending money.
For the first time in the history of the Gambia, Gambia Printing Publishing Corporation proudly introduces the Biliomatic exercise book printing machine. The machine has the capacity to print more than 20,000 books per hour. Yes, 20,000 books per hour. It also prints magazines, newspapers, calendars, flyers, normal books and all kinds of printed documents plus items at affordable prices. With the Biliomatic printing machine, GPPC can now render high-quality and non-size restricted printing service supply across the sub-region. Rush now and partner with GPPC for all your public and private printing service needs. Print with us today and you'd be offered highly professional, reliable and efficient service delivery by our team of experts. The Gambia Printing and Publishing Corporation is here to meet all demands and is reliable at all times. For more info, contact us on 437-4493 or 437-4402. GPPC is Gambian and it's yours.
Hello and welcome to the Brunch, our weekly look at current affairs here in the Gambia. I'm Lamin Cham. This week we will discuss the controversial presidential pardons for ex-Jammeh regime officials as well as prisoners from the Mile 2 prisons. We'll also discuss the first part of the trial of Usman Sonko, the former interior minister who is standing crimes against humanity trial in Switzerland. And this and other conversations are on our agenda today. And with me to do this, Demba Jawo, veteran journalist, is here. Mustapha Darboe, just back from Switzerland, covering that trial, and lawyer Lamin Darboe. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good. Jawo, the last time where you were here, we postponed the pardon extended to the prisoners for today, for a discussion like it today. So we pick it from there. The controversy is still raging on. We heard that people who were accused or in fact convicted of rape and murder were among those that have been released. And of course, one or two government officials who've been accused of corruption. There have been government's explanation, of course, which says that in the case of Bamba Banja, actually, he had already served nearly a year of the 2-year jail term and paid over nearly $1 million in fine for a crime that was just $100,000. So the government said they think, by all standards, he merited an amnesty, given his situation. And of course, he was not feeling well, as has been in the plea of mitigation by his lawyer. In the case of a Senegalese tailor who gruesomely murdered a lady, I guess, in Kotu, government said he himself is terminally ill. And in fact, the doctors have arranged for a private facility to treat him, which is going to cost the Gambia government a lot of money. The government spokesman also said there have been interventions by religious leaders and there have been consultations with the families of the victims, which of course was rejected by members of his family. But the government insists that due process had been followed in all the cases of the 37 who've been released. What's your take?
Thank you. I think we are lucky that we have got lawyer Darboe here, who is actually, I guess, a constitutional lawyer. He knows exactly what the situation is. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the due process was actually followed to the letter in the pardon of the prisoners. Okay, they may have given us reasons as to the terminal illness of the Senegalese and maybe whatever other circumstances surrounding Bamba Banja. But I think there are certain processes they should have followed actually to reach the conclusions that they have reached. But I'm not sure whether those processes were, followed to the letter. And the very fact also that, they just told us, gave us the list of prisoners, names of prisoners who were released, but they never went as far as to explain to us the circumstances until the people started making noise that they came on air and then started giving us all these excuses. And they could have done it at the very beginning so that they tell us exactly the reasons why they have chosen those prisoners. I know there are certain prisoners in that jail who probably were just convicted for smoking, cannabis or whatever. We all have seen all over the world now they are legalizing the use of cannabis, as a medicinal drug or whatever. I think if they were to choose about people who were to be pardoned, there are more suitable candidates in that prison than those people. People who have murdered people or people who have been convicted of rape or corruption and other things. Because in the case of the Bamba Banja case, I think that was the only reference that the government was giving that they were fighting corruption. Yeah. Now they have pardoned him. So on the very week that the anti-corruption bill was actually passed by the National Assembly after more than 2 years in that place. So I'm not sure whether it's definitely a very genuine case that the government has put forward as far as the release of those prisoners are concerned.
Mustapha, you were following, you were in Switzerland, but you must have been following events back home. Let me first ask, before we go to Switzerland, what was your take on the prisoner amnesty?
So, when the prisoner release was done, on our WhatsApp page, even before everybody started talking about it, I had asked a colleague to do a search on all the prisoners.
Okay.
And establish why they were convicted.
Okay.
Because I knew it didn't sit well with me. I thought something was wrong.
That was a more sensible thing to know what their crimes were.
And so before that, I was on Kerfat. No, I was on For the People by the People. So
yeah.
And this issue came up, and I told them the prisoner pardon, the way it's done in the Gambia, is it's not transparent. It's not transparent. Not transparent in the sense that if you are pardoning prisoners, that's the first thing to address. The president is exercising his power in the name of the people of the Gambia, and so his decisions must be explained. The rationale must be explained to the people of the Gambia.
Full, yeah.
So, for example, you have to publish the list of the people that are pardoned, the crimes they committed, the reason for their pardoning. Like, for example, before the government comes to now clarify, after a public outcry, this brief description, the reason why they were sent to prison should have been accompanied the release, that these people are pardoned, this is the crime they committed, and this is the reason why they were considered for claimants of mercy.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
Without this, it's not a pardon. Yeah. You cannot exercise a power in my name and deny me from a basic explanation of why you exercise that power. Yeah. That is the first wrong.
Exactly.
Now, the second wrong is the lie that followed. Now, we know a lot of what Sankare said is not true. Dr. Banja, for example, a colleague of mine is doing this story. Maybe I shouldn't go so much into detail. But if you look at Dr. Banja's case, let's just pick that one. Dr. Banja's case came before, he appealed this conviction before the Court of Appeal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And he applied for bail while his appeal was pending.
Yes.
What did Justice Roach said? Because the bail was on the basis that he was sick.
He was sick at the time.
Yeah?
Yeah, he had diabetes.
Yes, diabetes and hypertension.
Yeah.
But Justice Roth ruled that he was unable to present any document whatsoever
to
show he was sick.
Yeah, that was why it was refused.
So if you could not prove before the court you are sick, how did you prove before a committee you were sick? This is the point.
Yeah.
And 7 months into a 2-year prison term, and also they said he paid the 1 million,
nearly a million,
the million that he was supposed to pay, because it's the million in default of which I think it's 1 year or 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, but we don't see any evidence that that 1 million is paid. For people notorious for lying, how do we believe them?
Wow.
I mean, it's the truth. I mean, every time government speaks, they lie. They don't respect the people. This is the truth. So, I mean, if you look, because they told people the families consented. The families came out and said, no, we didn't, we weren't even aware.
In the case of the Senegalese,
no, in the case of all the people, almost all of them. You have families coming out all the time. I mean, if you look at what's on Gambia, the comment section is very interesting. They post something, people go to comment. There are Gambians on that platform.
Absolutely.
So they go to comment, no, we were not aware, we were not aware, we were not aware. So people were not aware. So these are some of the things. It's just, this is just, and there are claims that even these prisoner pardons are also bought. So you can buy it, and you cannot in the presence of evidence of this nature. How do you rule that out?
Yeah,
because this is ridiculous.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah.
Mr. Darboe perhaps may help enlighten us. The president does have powers to extend mercy, whatever they call it, provided it's recommended by a committee. We were told there is a committee comprising prison officials and others who advise the president on such matters. If that is the case, does the president, is he right? Is he in his legal rights to set prisoners free based on this kind of circumstances like sickness or having served your sentence for a reasonable time or good conduct or whatever?
Well, if you look at the law, section 82, one of the Constitution, there is no question. He has the ability to pardon prisoners, any prisoner. So that is the situation. It's a very, very wide power. Any prisoner for any crime. Yes.
The president have the powers
to do that.
Without explaining?
No, without explanation.
Okay.
But I will go with what Mustapha said, that procedurally, in the interest of openness and good governance, if you are going to do something like that, come out and tell us your reasons. Now, people may disagree with you. Yes, but of course, in a democratic society, of course, there would be diversity of opinion.
Indeed.
People can disagree, but not to be transparent about these things, and then to come and tell us stories continuously about events that happen in our public affairs. You say one thing, then it turns out to be the exact opposite. You know, it doesn't give us confidence in the governance system in the country. He can pardon any prisoner for any offense. However, there is something they call a consultation with the Prerogative of Mercy Committee. In that committee sits the Attorney General and 3 other people, whether those are legal persons or organizations or things like that. But say, for example, I read somewhere that the Christian Council, the Supreme Islamic Council, and the Social Welfare Department. I have not seen, it's incumbent on the government to publish the names of the persons in that Prerogative of Mercy Committee. Yes, so that we can check whether the National Assembly actually approved that. Yes, because the National Assembly has to confirm those nominees. So somebody nominates, the National Assembly confirms, and then only then does it become the Prerogative of Mercy Committee. The Attorney General is there. That is a permanent position. So it's not like the current Attorney General, anybody who holds the position of Attorney General.
So in other words, people, it must be known who are the members of that committee.
Of course.
And we don't know now, isn't it? Apart from the Attorney General.
Yeah, apart from the Attorney General, we don't know. Is there a committee? We don't know.
They said there is.
Yeah. Well, they need to publish those names. And the President, in consultation with that committee. So obviously, in consultation with the Attorney General, there is no problem with that. Attorney General works for the President, so that is not a consultation. Yes, maybe the Prerogative of Mercy Committee, probably the reason why the Attorney General is a member is so that he can shed some light on the egregious crimes that were committed or the nature of the crimes, explain that to members of the committee, and together they can decide whether they should allow those people to be pardoned. So the actual word there is pardon. Should it happen? Should it happen? And if they agree, then obviously that decision should be published. Again, in the interest of transparency. Yes.
Jawo, you were curious about the timing of the release. Normally you said such things happen on Tobaski, religious days, or New Year, or Independence. But like Mr. Darboe, the lawyer Darboe just said, the President can do these things at any time for anybody, without explanation, but for transparency purpose, yes.
No, I agree. I mean, this was just a tradition that, you know, usually these things happen on special days like Tobaski, Korite, or, you know, Christmas, or, you know, Independence is just around the corner. It could have been another occasion. But it doesn't necessarily, Lord doesn't, you know, we can do it any day, any time he wishes to. I have no doubt about that. But at least why, you know, I mean, just do it in disregard of the tradition. That's what I was questioning. But somebody pointed out to me that particular day was the day he was sworn in, in office in Dakar.
19th
on
January.
the 19th of January. So probably he based it on that particular day. But whatever the case, I think
so that was a special day for him. And he thought that, okay, this is a day very special to me. Let me use it by exercising mercy.
But I thought probably Independence Day would have been a more symbolic day, you know, nationally than you know, any other day.
You do know also there are also National Assembly members who are on record saying that they have not approved any committee.
Oh, they have not approved any committee
appointment for any committee. So that means there is no committee.
Right. Let's move on to another amnesty that the president extended. Well, of course, we had a few months back Parliament passing a bill called Commission.
That particular section says that if there is an adverse mention against you, yes, then you have a right to appeal to the Court of Appeal within 3 months. Yes, because that adverse mention, unless you appeal to the court, will remain. So the president has no authority. I cannot overemphasize this. The president has no authority to interfere with that process. A judicial route was exclusively carved out. If you are dissatisfied with what a commission of inquiry says about you, you can go to the Court of Appeal. The Commission of Inquiry report is like a High Court judgment. The president cannot overturn a High Court judgment. Yes, it cannot. In the case of a pardon, he can, but these are different creatures. Even though the outcome would probably be the same, because you will free somebody from the restrictions that were placed on the person by the law. In the case of a prisoner, you can pardon him. In the case of an official who was adversely mentioned by a commission of inquiry, you can grant him the amnesty. Yes. So, but the 1903 Act didn't even talk about that. So the amendment should focus on what is said in the Constitution, particularly Section 204. If you didn't do that, you are not granting an amnesty to the person. You are just wasting their time. Legally, the advancement remains, and the president has no authority to vacate the advancement. That can only be done by the Gambia Court of Appeal. That did not happen in this case. And you mentioned reasonable time, and no, in this particular case, there is no reasonable time. There are lifetime bans. All the people affected were handed lifetime bans. Yes, that was what was recommended. That was what the government accepted.
I think there are orders that are 10 years or something.
Yeah, orders are 10 years, but no, these ones are all lifetime bans. Let me recall them. Mamadou Sabali, Sirawalin Dao, Basirun Jai, Amadou Koli, and who is the fifth one?
Sirajai's husband.
That is Basiro. That is Basiro.
You finished them now.
Yeah,
you completed the list.
No, it's five. Yeah.
Sabali.
Njoguba.
Yeah. I thought one of them is a 10-year ban.
No, all of them.
I think it's Amadou.
Amadou is a 10-year ban.
Amadou.
Yeah.
I think even including Amadou, what happened was the 10-year bans were for them not to act as directors of public enterprises for 10 years. All of them were banned for 10 years. But for lifetime bans, those were given to all of them. For those were the bans given to all of them. So there is no question of reasonable.
So you are saying that whereas, it may be all right to pardon them, but then it should have gone through a judicial process.
No, you cannot even pardon them. The Constitution didn't give you that authority. This is not a criminal case.
But Parliament just passed a bill which they call Commission of Inquiries Amendment Bill.
That bill is unconstitutional. It's unlawful. Parliament has no authority in light of what is in the Constitution, from Section 200 to Section 206. They have no authority to pass that amendment.
I see.
Yes, only 3 sections were added. Substantively, only 3 sections.
Which is the president now have powers to?
No, yes, if you are banned, you can apply Section 20 to the Minister of Justice, and then of course you can it will submit it to the president, and the president. So really, that is laughable. It is an insult to the intelligence of the people of the Gambia. Yes, but anyway, forget about the reason, the policy considerations driving this particular legislation. The legislation, in light of Section 200 to 206, but in 2000, section 204 in particular, Parliament has no authority to pass it. If the intention is to remove the adverse mentions, you cannot do that. Once you are adversely mentioned, your best bet is to go through the Gambia Court of Appeal. It is the only authority. If you disagree with what happened at the Gambia Court of Appeal, you can go to the Supreme Court. But the judiciary is the only organ empowered to free you from your advancement. So regardless of what the president did and these people, today, any of these people who were amnested, the word is amnesty, it's not, amnesty. That is the word they use. Any of the people who were amnested cannot apply to be National Assembly members, cannot apply to be presidents. That ban is permanent unless you relinquish it or you relieve yourself of it through the judicial rule.
So you mean any of them who tries to contest for president or contest for parliamentary, any opponents of theirs can go to court or can go and say these people cannot contest?
Absolutely. In fact, that was the reason why Sabali was stopped.
And they cannot, but with the amnesty of the president, they cannot bring the amnesty of the president to defend their case. That
Mr. Cham, I don't think you are listening.
I'm listening. I'm saying
I am saying the president has no authority
to do that.
To even touch that 1903 Act. Yes. As long as it is affecting the Constitution. You know, you run that act through a compatibility test. Does it conform to the to the ethics of the Constitution? And I can tell you it did not. Yes. The adverse mention is there. These people, president has no authority to remove it.
Good. Well, but Mr. Darboe, the president has already done it, and it's effective. It's effective. Probably very soon Sabali would be appointed to a senior position in the government. What can we do? What can we do now? What is to be done?
Well, something can be done. You know, according to the demarcations that are created by the Constitution, the president is in charge of the executive arm of government. The National Assembly, we all know, and then the judiciary, the interpretation of the law. Yes. So certainly, if you disagree with this, you can go to the Supreme Court to say the president has no authority to amnesty these people who were adversely mentioned in the Jawo Commission. So that's it.
So it means if nobody has gone to court to challenge this illegality will continue. The illegal law that the National Assembly has, kind of promulgated will stay in the law books, and everything will continue as usual.
Well, I think it will be challenged. I've been approached by some people, and hopefully within the coming week, we'll put something before the Supreme Court. This is the only way we can keep our democracy functioning properly.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Mustapha, what do you say about these things? Well, legal about the pardoning of officials. You know, the passing of the Commission of Inquiry Amendment, which now give the president the powers to amnesty people who have been adversely mentioned, especially if they had served reasonable time of their ban. Well, a lot of people also with more said welcome. They said, it is inhumane to ban somebody for a lifetime. Every punishment must be proportionate to a certain crime, but to ban somebody for a lifetime, people think that is inhumane.
But that is a ban here. You have to qualify. It's not a question of they can work anywhere else.
Oh yeah, from the public. Yeah, public service. That's
what
it.
The ban
public
is about.
What if that is their desire, or they can find? In a way, it is still restricting their liberty or freedom.
It's not restricting their liberty, Cham. The reason is that we should go back to the beginning. Jawo Commission did an investigation, and they found out. Of course, this is different from different perspectives, but at least it was established either based on records published by the OCCRP or based on records ultimately published by Jawo Commission and the Ministry of Justice, that Jammeh stole at least $362 million to $1 billion. You know how much $1 billion was? It was the total worth of the Gambian economy. Was our GDP at that time. In 2016, Gambia's GDP was $1 billion. That means Jammeh was as rich as Gambia itself. Right? The total worth of economic activity, everything generated within this space, was only as much as Jammeh's
wealth.
Yes. Now, and how did he get it? They said he stole from the people. Poor people. And those poor people, among every 100, at least 48 was living below $1 a day at that material time. At least 48 people at that time, almost half of the population, could not afford to live on more than 2 loaves of bread, mayonnaise, and an egg, 1 egg. Essentially, to put it into context, essentially this is what it meant. Now, Jammeh Commission said, by implication, anybody who aided and abetted this massive destruction of public life and public wealth,
should be banned,
by implication, cannot be trusted. Let's not use ban. This is legal. Let's say cannot be trusted with public wealth. See, so this is by implication. That's what. So Jammeh Commission said Sabally, by implication of his aiding and abetting of public theft of disproportion, cannot be trusted with public wealth. And Barrow and his people said, we agreed with this. And Barrow knew what was happening. He said, we agreed with this. And now he said, no, I don't agree with it. What changed? If you look at everything that happened from 2017 to now, it's the same Sabally we are dealing with. It's the same findings Jammeh Commission we are dealing with. It's the same evidences we are dealing with. So what changed? Only that Sabally changed his political position from being UDP to being NPP. And so this goes to the heart of the Gambian politics in itself. Because before Sabally was NPP, he was UDP. And nothing was wrong with that.
And UDP people did not
and UDP would also, that. By implication, UDP would have also done the same thing.
They did not question that.
But but this is essentially the thing. I mean, if you go to Njokuba, it's the same thing. I mean, Njokuba also, Jammeh Commission said it cannot be trusted with public wealth. All the other people, Jammeh Commission said they cannot be trusted with public wealth. So this is why the ban was placed on them.
But now the president can say, I have a bill from Parliament which now said I can.
But for us, the legality,
he's saying that they can't.
But for us, in fact, the legality or otherwise of it is not the point for me. The point is, it's just wrong. Like you cannot entrust public wealth now into the hands of someone established by a thorough investigation to be not worthy of such trust. This is wrong.
Mr. Chairman, just a small point here. These sections of the Constitution and the Commission of Inquiry are not entrenched. So instead of amending the 1903 Act, you can go to Parliament. I think the President has the numbers there to put this through an amendment. All you have to do is insert that the President has the authority to amnesty. But you cannot use the 1903 Act. That is an insult to the people of the country.
I see. You mean he should have actually
amended the constitutional text?
The text.
That is not a problem.
That would have saved everybody of
exactly. The National Assembly alone can do that. But this is not the first time. Fatoumata Tambajang, when she was appointed vice president, we did say that it is wrong.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's true.
Okay. The minister at the time told the president it was okay. And then he came back and advised the president that yes, it was wrong. So they went through the constitution, amended it, and Fatoumata Tambajang became vice president. This is what they should do with the Commission of Inquiry. These people, it's not a hopeless case for them. If they want, they can still do that.
So you mean they didn't do the appropriate amendment?
Yes,
Which
which is the Constitution itself. Yes,
okay.
that would have sorted the problem. They can do that now, but it takes 3 months, for that amendment, because you have to go through certain procedures that are laid out as Section 226 of the Constitution. Yeah.
But morally, would you?
Well, you were saying the moral is wrong.
Morally, would you even have any position to do such a thing? Because you've instituted yourself an investigation, and a state investigation comes to find out that a president of a republic has betrayed the trust bestowed upon him, and the people who aided and abetted that betrayal are this category of people. And then you come to say, no, let's forget about it. That means by implication, you've also forgotten about Jammeh's betrayal. So by implication, by pardoning Sabally, by pardoning Joguba, by pardoning all these people who aided Jammeh to steal from the public,
you are indirectly pardoning Jammeh.
Not indirectly. You are directly also lifting the ban on Jammeh directly, because what's the point? If I help you to steal, and you said no, I haven't, I have forgiven. I have helped DA to steal, for example. Of course, he would not steal. He's an honorable man. But you said you've forgiven me, then that means you've forgiven him too, because the whole point is theft, and who stole? It's us.
And aren't these still not allegations? Because as he said, whether or not you free yourself from them, you need to go to High Court or whatever.
Yeah, but
he said, as long as you didn't do that, they remain.
It's the Court of Appeal.
But
you have to go to the Court of Appeal.
Exactly, but whether or not the law says it's good or it's bad, the reality is that in fact, in practice, the ban will not be upheld anymore. In practice, it means in practice we have put Ghana Commission into the bin. In practice, not in principle.
Not even before this recent.
By law, yes, it could hold there. But what is law if the law is not upheld?
So
it's useless.
Even before now, you think Ghana Commission things have been put aside.
Yeah, but it's useless. Well, that's what the government. That's the language government has just spoken. That the Ghana Commission no longer holds value. As long as because how could you now exonerate Sabally and upheld the commission findings against that? When justice is unequally applied, it becomes vindictive. Because why would you apply law on me and not on him?
Okay, let's move on. You just back from Switzerland, where we have the third, I think this is the third one, the third case against humanity trial. Or is the second, I think? Because the third one will come.
The second one.
The third one will come in America, we were told.
Yes.
Against Usman Sonko, former Minister of Interior and Inspector General of Police. At what stage are we now? So far, all the witnesses have testified. Can you tell us exactly, in fact, how is it going about?
Well, so Usman was arrested. Usman left the Gambia, of course, we all know, September 2016.
3 months before the election that removed.
Yeah, but also 3 months after the handling of the April 10 and 11.
Yes.
Because
he was in the
the dust settled in July.
Yes.
August, September, Usman left. Yeah, because the people who were taken to court were convicted on July 22nd, I remember.
So he was in the thick of all that.
Yes. Well, I mean, allegedly, he was part of it. That's what people claim. So
he went in September.
Yeah, so Usman left. He went to Senegal. Then from Senegal, he left. He went to Sweden. At that time, I think he had a Switzerland visa on his passport. So I think
a Schengen visa, so he could go to anywhere.
Yeah, so he went to Switzerland ultimately. And when he arrived in Switzerland, the Trial International, the Geneva-based human rights organization, was aware of his presence there, and they were tipped about his circumstances and his history, and then trial launched a complaint against him at the Swiss Criminal Division, at the Swiss Attorney General's office, and then the police banged into his asylum complex, arrested him, and then they hold him in detention since, and so investigation started.
For 6 months now, 6 years, is it? Has it not been
7 years? Close.
7 years,
close to 7 years. Yeah. So you know, because Switzerland in 2011, in November 2011, had passed this law, in respect of universal jurisdiction, to be able to try crimes against humanity.
I see.
Usman is the second person to be tried after Aliou, I think Aliou Korthie or something. He's a Liberian guy. So Usman is the second. So Usman was also arrested, and he was investigated in respect of crime.
Did we even get to know from the court? Did he tell the court why he even left?
No, that's the problem. The only thing we know is that after Usman left, while when the Swiss authorities arrested Usman, they found a note in his apartment. And in this note is appears to be the best explanation we have as to why Usman left.
Okay.
On the note, he scribbled a number of things. You know, journalists do not have court records. We only have the indictment. And not all the things, the evidences are not on the indictment. So on this note, it was displayed in the court on the screen, but only a part of it. And so you could see a rough handwriting. I left the Gambia, I went to Senegal. I couldn't stay in Senegal. It's not safe. They could come after me. I moved. They followed me to Mbour. He gave me order to kill, shoot and kill April 14 demonstrators. I declined. He asked me to hand over detainees to NIA, which I did. And you know, so you could see, you know,
those were his own writings.
Yes, so Usman would later confirm this to be his handwriting, and he did told the court that this were his handwriting, and that he scribbled this for his asylum procedure. So in other words, this is the information he was supposed to give to the authorities. And so part of the things he also put there was ordered me to deny opposition permit for protest. You know, and so, you know, you remember some of us journalists there were so excited because this was the closest explanation we have to understanding what came between Usman and Jammeh. And so, but Usman unfortunately came to say, ruin the excitement, to say that this first part is true and the other part did not take place. Now, all we know was that, I mean, I went ahead to write a story that Usman gave a claim to have been giving a shoot to kill order by Jammeh. And local newspapers ran this. I think Usman and his team noticed this, they read it. And then the following day, Usman's lawyer came to ask him, I think to clarify one point, were you giving any shoot to kill order by Jammeh? Usman said, no, I wasn't. So that means, okay, so Usman is saying he wrote that note, but it's not true. He wrote that for asylum procedure. Now, then the lawyers also asked him, why would you write an information that you know to be
not true?
And so he said he declined to answer that. He said he wouldn't answer that. But then the interesting part is, now the note is left there without clarity, without much clarity, I should say. Because Usman initially said some part of it took place, some part of it did not happen. So now it is not exactly clear what part of it took place and what part of it did not take place. Now, and the note has implications because defense strategies of Usman's lawyer shift different times during the trial. He's Philippe, you have to give him that. He's a very good lawyer. I mean, his initial defense strategy was to stop the trial from happening. So because because it's crimes against humanity, so they're looking at a lot of things, including the elements, the element operation was a state policy under Jammeh, and that Usman helped in implementing that state policy. So this is the most important constituent of these elements. Now, Felipe attacked the overall evidence of the...
That's Usman's lawyer.
Yes, of the Swiss prosecution, to say that the Swiss law which enacted crimes against humanity came into being in 2011. So all crimes that happened before 2011
can be tried.
We have no jurisdiction to try those.
But
now, by implication, what Philip wants is to remove over half of the indictments that came against.
I see.
So this would have affected the broader picture.
Yes.
So the elements would have been affected.
I see.
Now, but the interesting thing also is that the lawyers were not limited to the charges against Usman. They were also bringing in other elements of crimes that happened under Jammeh that are not directly linked to Usman, just to fulfill that contextual element. That the white oppression was a state policy and it was widespread. So that newspaper clippings of 2012
were all attended.
2012 execution of dead row inmates were attended.
Yes.
And not more other human rights reports of Amnesty International, Human Rights Watch, UN report was reports of prison convictions, prison situations.
Opposition journalists, prosecution of journalists.
Yes, you must have remembered in 2014, Juan Mendes and Christopher Hines came.
Yeah, exactly.
We covered that. I was at Today at the time, very young reporter. And you know that also report was tendered. So there were a lot more information before the court we don't know about. One lawyer told me 3 terabytes of information. This is huge. So Jammeh Commission investigation reports were all tendered. Lot more investigations. Yes, lot of reports. I mean, you are there, you hear journalist names. Lot Foroya newspaper reports, clippings and all that. Trial Foroya's page. Detention without trial.
That was a regular feature.
Yeah, detention without trial, and there was detention without trial and disappearance without trace. Exactly, and so the issue of Foreya's credibility came up, and Madison affirmed this to be a very credible newspaper.
Absolutely.
So this
they were documenting everything.
So these are the two very critical things. One is the lawyers tried to fulfill the contextual element, not just by submitting evidence directly relating to Usman, but also full evidences that are not directly relating to Usman.
So at what stage is the trial now?
Well, the stage right now is that all the 11 witnesses have testified. All the 11 witnesses were brought in. This includes because the case against Usman starts from the date of crimes Usman is allegedly involved in, started from 2000, the death of Al-Mamu. So that's one more than the rape of Al-Mamu's widow. Then we go to 2006. A lot of incidents happen. Torture of journalist Madi Sise, Musa Sedikan, torture of Bunja Darboe and others.
The coupists of 2006.
Yes, exactly, in the Duricham incident. And then we go to 2006, then we go to 2011. 16. We go to 2016. Also 2016, the death of Solo Sandeng
and
the arrest and the tortures and all of that. And so I think there were four different incidents.
And the witnesses to all those testified.
Yes, and also the prison conditions. So there are testimonies of different people. So these are the witnesses of all this testified, but also they brought in 2 witnesses who are not court. The court brought in 3 witnesses to testify to a certain condition, which is the prison condition.
I see.
They brought in 2 prison officers. One was oddly of
serving ones or former ones.
Serving ones. One was the oddly of David Colley. You remember?
Yeah, the late David.
It was the oddly of David Colley who was guarding Baba Jo. Exactly, the mother of Baba Jo. 2012.
Came 2 years.
And so it was the orderly of David Colley who was guarding, who was sent to guard Baba Job at his hospital bed. And he, Oya, you remember Oya said he was part of it.
Yes, he testified that when
now,
they came.
Sane said he's not part of it, but Oya said he knew they were coming. In fact, he said, when we come, he said, oh, you have come. He's sleeping. Yeah? So Oya suggested he was part of it, but he said he was not part of it, of course. If he said he was part of it in Switzerland, that's a risky thing to do. That's why you would not. Himself. Yes, that's why you would not take Jongulas there to testify, because if they would have been arrested in the first place. They may not come. I mean, except if they choose to let them go, which would be problematic. It would be problematic. So this is the issue, and so those people have testified. Ngom also. You remember? Yes. This guy was supposed to go. Nogoi Njai, Nogoi could not go. Yes,
Fatmata Jawara
Nogoi died.
was there.
Yeah, Fatmata was there. Fatmata was there, and Fatmata Kamara also there. Fatu Kamara was there. Modungom also came. They
so
came
he was, in that mean, included the time he spent as Interior Minister and the time he spent as Inspector General of Police.
Yes. So that's basically because Usman was a head of state guards in 2000.
Presidential
and later on, between 2000 to 2006, he was more or less only in the military. Because he moved from State House to become an officer at the headquarters. Then he was moved to become the commander of Yundum. Then he was moved to become the Inspector General of Police, from being commander of Yundum. And then he was moved later on in 2006. In fact, in November, he was then appointed Interior Minister. And then he was Interior Minister until 2016. Only in 2012, he was briefly relieved, but never. In fact, he was briefly relieved and appointed an ambassador, but this never happened. So he came back to his position, Interior Minister. So there was, in fact, this insinuation, because a lot of evidence is also, this is a huge case. Some are insinuations, some are allegations that look, Jammeh does not keep anybody close until you are useful. And you were able to be there from 2006 and very close to 2016. Of course, Usman denied this. And Usman denied this, and of course, he also
said he wasn't close, right?
Yes, he denied that. But he also denied that he was involved in operational details. But now the consequences of the note, had Usman agreed that the note is true, the note involves directives from Jammeh to Interior Minister to foot soldiers. By that I mean police.
So when do we
operational details? If Usman acknowledged the note is true, by implication he is saying that in fact Jammeh could have given me orders, and I could also give orders to the police, not bypassing the IGP. And that would have shattered his defense strategy, that I am only at the policy level. So he would have by implication also saying I am involved in operational matters.
When do we expect the verdict on this?
Well, the verdict, it's not clear yet, because March the trial resumes, and what would happen in March would be the lawyers were going to do the pleadings. And then the final.
Are there more witnesses expecting?
No. This is just for lawyers. To show their strength to each other. And summarize their evidences and say, look, we think Usman should go to prison. And then the defense would say, no, the state, they have not proven, the case against Usman, which is also, I mean, if you look to Philip, if you listen to Philip, also, you get the sense that, of course, the evidence against Usman is weak, because he attacked it from different angles, that the crime was not as widespread, and even if it were, Usman is not involved in any of this, because Usman was an Interior Minister, and, a number of instances also when they claim he was part of the panel, Usman has in some instances an alibi that I was not part of the panel, and also the crimes are very far apart, some 5 years interval, and things like that. So where is the contextual element where you are to fulfill the issue of widespread nature of the abuse, you know, or things like that. So it's
listening to all this, lawyer
it's a tough war.
Darboe, how would you say, what are your impressions on this case?
Well, the driver was there first time, so he's narrating what he witnessed. The crime itself, crimes against humanity, it's an international crime. So I don't know whether Switzerland carved its own crimes against humanity, or whether it took the elements from the crimes against humanity as understood by the Rome Statute that, of course, is the International Criminal Court. Yes, so that is something that the court would have to look at very carefully. You can be accused of crimes against humanity, but the court maybe did not deal with that issue as a preliminary matter, so he's going to look at all the evidence and decide whether, in fact, the universal jurisdiction it is asserting over crimes against humanity should be asserted over somebody like Usman, because what Darboe is saying, this has to be widespread, not only widespread, but also very systematic. I know the events that happen in this country, you can, you know, they were there, everybody knows that they were happening.
Yeah.
Yes. But were they systematic? Were they widespread? If you understand that word correctly. Because if you look at the Rome Statute, what it says about widespread really are conditions of war. Yeah, we are talking about conditions of military conflict here. Yes, usually when it comes to widespread, it's very, very difficult to.
But you can argue that cases on the Jami were not that isolated. I mean, there seemed to be systematic torture, for example, of political opponents and journalists. That was systematic.
Yeah, but like Jawo has said, the lawyer, I think the reason why also the ICC, because I mean, if you listen to Fatou Bom Bensouda, she was, I mean, saying that because I mean, it was not widespread and systematic. That's why the ICC didn't come after.
Reach the threshold.
Yeah, I mean, because I mean, it's a very, very difficult threshold to actually reach before you can say there is a crime against humanity, or you know, whatever. Those crimes are difficult to reach the threshold.
Yes.
So that's why the ICC didn't come after Jammeh.
Absolutely, because some people.
But then she said after hearing testimonies at TRC, they realized that. Probably, you know, things were more serious than they thought.
No, her first position was correct. That was that the threshold was not met. Yeah, TRRC, that was just after the fact.
Yes.
But really, this is an objective situation. You can analyze it yourself. Was it systematic enough? Was it widespread enough to trigger the jurisdiction of the ICC? Yes, there is a doubt about that. I wrote about that in 2012, that her first position is correct, even though she served under Jammeh. But I am myself still unconvinced that we had crimes against humanity here, as that is internationally understood, because there is a history to these international crimes. Yeah, you know, from Nuremberg all the way through the ICC, and then you pass through some ad hoc tribunals in Sierra Leone.
I don't know about extrajudicial killing, but torture was widespread. And
also, you know, in Switzerland, when this issue of jurisdiction was brought into the picture by Usman's lawyer, the court said that so the issue of jurisdiction will come to this. Yeah, we'll put it on an ice
For
cooler.
now.
Yeah, for now. We'll come back to it, but only after we assess crime in its context.
Context, exactly.
So they will hear everything, and then they will decide what happens. Now, Philip thinks that this was denial of justice in the sense that once you allow everything to be heard, naturally the picture would be much broader. And so let's not bring into the box what shouldn't be there. So anything 2011 backwards should not be there. And once you allow, Philip knows also, once you allow, let's not forget, bylaw was nailed on crimes against humanity.
I thought that was tied to a specific case, the killing.
Not specific case, because they didn't just look at bylaw. They looked at bylaw within the context. Now, Usman's case also is looked at within the context. That's why I said not only did they confine themselves to evidence presented that directly link Usman to crimes, allegedly, but also they allowed evidence to be presented which reflects the broader context. So in other words, Usman's crime is linked to the state policy of oppression, which was systematic, widespread.
Exactly.
And so they, like you said, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I do not know how to fulfill these contextual elements, but it's a tough thing to prove. But since they've done it in Germany, the question now for me, as far as I'm concerned, is how, because in Germany they've already proved that there was a contextual element of state-sponsored policy of oppression.
Yes.
And that they also confirmed that there was the oppression was also systematic and widespread.
Yeah.
And so they now we now have to grapple with two things: linking Usman to those crimes, and linking those crimes to the broader picture.
Absolutely. There were criticisms that the Gambia government didn't send a representative there. Gentlemen, or the government has to be represented. The Attorney General, does he have to be represented in this trial, or by show of what commitment to this? I mean, the transitional justice that they want international community to help them. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think the government should be interested. This is part of the transitional justice system. I mean, which the government should have been the very first to undertake, rather than waiting for the outsiders to do it. If the outsiders do it before the government actually does it, here, they should still be interested in it and go, get represented there, so that they can at least follow up the process and see that, I mean, it's in the interest of the government's transitional justice system. That's what I think.
Was there any representative? No.
I think what should, we only have a consular officer, I mean, whether it's a consular officer, but anyway, a diplomat from Geneva.
Well, I think there's a UN diplomatic post there.
Yeah, but there is an embassy also.
There's also an embassy. Yeah.
So this gentleman came from the embassy. He was there for the first few days. But he was there basically for the Gambians, whether it's Usman's lawyer, to see if he needs anything, or the defendants who have come, the plaintiffs.
I see.
So this is not irrespective of the court.
I see.
Now, my position has always been that I think that Attorney General's office should have sent a lawyer who is going to be an attaché to the team of prosecutors. Now, this is good in two ways. One is the lawyer is going to be able to render a very good support to this team. He doesn't necessarily have to take this stance as a lawyer. He's probably not licensed to operate in that jurisdiction.
Yeah.
But whether the person is a private lawyer or from the AG's office, the person could be there to render support. He understands the terrain more than anybody. And this terrain, oftentimes we were in court. I mean, we've seen basic mistakes about certain things that a Gambian lawyer would not have made. I mean, you can understand things from Swiss perspective, from the Swiss law and everything. But you can't read what happened here in 7 years. It's not possible.
Okay.
You have to leave it to understand it. I mean, and that emotion was not in the court. I mean, you feel it. It's
so you
not
mean
there.
the Ministry of Justice should have sent a legal
Yes,
counsel
should have sent
there
an
to help the
attaché
prosecutors,
both in Germany and in Switzerland, so that the person would also learn.
Yeah.
I mean, you are coming to establish a hybrid court, which essentially is going to probably operate like the one.
And they were in ECOWAS not long ago asking
exactly.
for such support.
So if they have some goodwill, I mean, they could approach UN and say, I want to put somebody in the court. Can you help us? Anybody, I mean, even Gambia government, you wouldn't need more than $10,000 to do this.
Exactly.
Even Gambia government can send a lawyer and put him in the place.
Yeah.
And I hope they do this from now onwards. And also for Sankoriak trial coming up.
At least it will show that the government is definitely committed.
Not just to that, not just that, but also to learn.
To learn, yeah.
You know, I mean, we know our lawyers have tried. I mean, our lawyers have gone to any level. I mean, they've tried. They've been in courts where crimes against humanity. Gambian lawyers, I mean.
Yeah.
Whether or not they are the AG or the private practice or they are outside, or we could have someone, a Gambian, because for all we know, the hybrid court, when it comes to be established, it's not just that you may have people who are in private practice who would be brought in by state on a certain basis to say, we need you to help. We've seen private lawyers prosecuted the NIA 9.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. So these are things that should have been, AG should have led this discussion and say, let's sit down with the bar, let's strategize. This thing is happening. We're coming to hold a hybrid court in the Gambia. And the cost of a hybrid court would be colossal if it has to be directly, regardless of who is funding it.
Yeah.
If it has to be only populated by international lawyers. But if we have our own lawyers in it,
they know the ground.
It's much cheaper.
Yeah.
They bring a lot more emotions to the table because they understand the terrain and the context better than anybody. They know the domestic laws. Yeah. And even if it's going to be tried under an international law, the terrain matters.
Yeah. Those who
Nobody
were there
understands.
Yeah.
You can't read what happened here in 2 years and know it better than the person who lived through it his own life.
Yeah. Mr. Darboe, about government representation or lack of it in that
that is, I think that is at a policy level. As citizens, I would align myself with my colleagues here to say that government should send even an observer, but send somebody probably who can assist the prosecution. Yes, you know, that would have been very, very important.
Good.
Yes.
Now we turn to events next door neighbor, Senegal. As we speak, people are awaiting, I don't know what happened since we are on air, a speech by President Macky Sall. But everybody in Dakar are worried that the government may be planning to postpone the elections on the pretext that there should be a parliamentary inquiry into the conduct of some of the members of the Constitutional Council in validating candidates. The candidate of PDS, Karim Wad's team, have raised an issue, and Parliament has agreed with them and passed a bill to establish a parliamentary inquiry into the matter. People said Macky Sall is asking the Parliament also to extend the term of his government until preparations can be held for new elections. Mr. Jawo, are we Senegalese election going to be postponed?
Honestly, I don't think it would be postponed. You know, as you said, the PDS, that is Abdoulaye Wade's party, have asked for a parliamentary committee to be set up because there is an allegation of some corruption or whatever within the Constitutional Council, which actually was responsible for validating the candidates. And when Karim Wade was not validated, his candidacy was not validated because of his dual citizenship. You know, I mean, the PDS people said this is unfair, so they accused, I think, 1 or 2 of members of the Constitutional Council of being involved in some irregularities, and they called for the setting of a parliamentary committee to investigate that issue. But I'm not sure whether that would be enough to postpone the holding of the elections. I mean, as we said, Let's listen to what Macky Sall is saying. But I am not sure Macky Sall is interested in extending his term. I think he wants to go. He's already made up his mind in going, and I don't think extending his term by any length of time would be of interest to him or would be of benefit to him or anybody else within Senegal, because that can raise the tensions.
But what makes
political tensions
things curious is that why would the government, National Assembly members of the ruling party, the coalition, the Bendo Boka Yakar and the party of Mr. Sall especially, agree to vote for a parliamentary inquiry?
Well, that's a very interesting scenario. Why they should even go with the PDAs to actually agree to this parliamentary
And he has not
inquiry.
spoken still.
Because I mean, actually, what some of them said is that their candidate, that is Amadou Ba, is implicated in that allegation.
Exactly.
And their interest is to see him exonerated.
Yeah.
That's why they supported that parliamentary committee. That's what they are saying. But it's a very it's not a very clear situation. I don't know why. Something definitely, some political game is being played there.
What do you think would be the reaction of the Senegalese people? So suppose the election is postponed.
Yeah, I mean, it can definitely raise the tension. There is absolutely no doubt about that, because the political tension in Senegal is always high when they are approaching elections. And with this kind of postponement, when everybody has, put their mind on a particular date for the election, and then suddenly you come and say we are postponing the election by this number of months, it can be very catastrophic for the Senegalese electoral process. I think whatever happens, the government should resist that kind of thing, and they can see how best they can be able to deal with the National Assembly committee, so that at least the postponement doesn't take place.
Mustapha, you've been following events in Senegal?
No.
We are on the brink.
Me, I'm not very. I only follow Senegalese issue as it relates to Gambia.
Well, this election in Senegal relates to Gambia.
Yes, it is, but I'm not a Senegalese specialist. Of course, we all have our opinion about Macky Sall.
And what is yours as far as these recent threats to postpone the election is concerned? Because
Senegal's
it's a real
The
threat.
problem was basically engineered by Macky, including Usman's imprisonment. He is the one who provoked violence from his silence on his feet from the beginning. I mean, anybody who wants to go should say, I want to go. In fact, that shouldn't even be a subject of debate. If your term ends, it ends. Yeah, it's that easy. So why would you be silent on it? But this is the political situation in the ECOWAS region. Leaders don't care much about the people. And they are aided and abetted by their supporters and the system. And so, but we've seen Senegal has a history.
Yeah.
Each time a leader wants to stay in power unwarranted, in violation of the constitution, people die. People die. There are prices to pay.
That is the war.
And if Macky wants to stay, there will be a price to pay for him and for Senegalese. And so that will also have an implication on Gambia security-wise, because look at it, Gambia's physical security is in the hands of Senegal right now. I mean, we have economic forces still guarding our presidency. We have economic presence in the Fonyi region. We have their presence. Basically, they on the surface they are protecting the whole of or half of the South Bank
from the western tip
inside Casamance.
Yeah.
And economically also, right now, Gambia's dependence on Senegal has probably quadrupled on the barrow. I mean, we know that even our ports, a lot of basic commodities right now come in through Dakar because of the bottlenecks at our ports.
Yeah.
So any conflict in Senegal, it's going to have a devastating security and economic implications in Gambia. Right now, you see the rise of CFA against the Dalasi. It's common sense to explain. It's because of Gambia's dependence on Senegal. Because you need CFA in the Gambia to be able to do much business. Is because you need to bring in commodities from Senegal. Even food stuff are coming in from Senegal. So I think.
Finally, Mr. Darboe, on the Senegalese situation.
Well, I believe Macky Sall needs to be more concerned about Senegal as a country. So in other words, Senegalese national security should be paramount in his thinking. He's not going to be able to control things permanently. That will not happen. Yes. So he should look at his own self-interest. Is it in his self-interest to manufacture a crisis in the country? Yes. Because if you postpone these elections, and I agree with the, I don't think...
well, everything seems to be suggesting to that. Although DA was initially right. I mean, when he said Maki will not run, everybody said, wow, which planet are you coming from? And he was proven right.
Yeah.
Let's hope that he's proven right again, that elections will not be postponed, because the fear is that that's going to really, really spark some reactions that everybody fear might lead to violence.
It's definitely not in the interest of Macky Sall or anybody else in Senegal. Definitely.
I don't think so. Even whereas the National Assembly votes for that, that still is not in his interest.
Yeah.
Yes. Look at tiny Gambia. Did they not extend the life of the president?
They attempted to do that.
They attempted, but did it happen?
It didn't happen.
It didn't happen. Yeah. I know the considerations at play are different, but you know, he should take a long view of his own legacy and of the national security of Senegal. It's more important than an individual.
Good. Right, gentlemen, Demba, Jawo, veteran journalist, and of course Mustapha Darboe, journalist from Malagan, who just come back from the trial of Usman Sonko in Switzerland, and Lamin Darboe, lawyer on constitutional matters. Elections. We hope that's not the case, but then we'll be back next week perhaps with more information on all that's from Senegal. Thank you for now.
Thank you very much.
Islamic microfinance is becoming an increasingly popular mechanism for poverty alleviation, especially for developing countries around the world. This microfinance service adheres to the principles of Islam as a form of social responsibility. Yona Islamic Microfinance is the Islamic microfinance of choice in the Gambia, trustworthy and reliable. At Yona Islamic Microfinance, we provide savings products, current accounts, financing products in conformity with Islam. In addition, Yona Islamic Microfinance also offers local and international remittances, takaful fund, management of zakat, management of awqaf, trading and investment, and building of strategic partnerships to bring financial services to the doorstep of the poor with donor projects, madrasas, youth organizations, women groups, and farmer organizations. Make a choice with Yona Islamic Microfinance today. For more information on Yona Islamic Microfinance, call 377-2151 or 9832-151 or visit Yona head office at Tipa Garage, Bakote, or visit any Yona branch located countrywide near you.